Tash,
Hello, hello.
this is one of the biggest ones that
I'm
I want to
ready.
talk about. It's big. It's so huge, so important. I love it. And we need it. Do you know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Well, I'm not.
Sounds like a riddle, isn't it? Is
I'm
that
not thinking donuts. So.
don't need those. No. Why would you even go to food? No, today we're going to be talking about health. Health is life, Tash. Everybody wants this, but why do so many people struggle?
That is a very esoteric question.
And I'm going to label this one, guys, as a part one. I was saying to Tash, I'm really passionate about talking about health, and I know Tash is too. She consumes many books. I don't consume as many books. I just like to action the ones I do.
I definitely educate myself more in this area. You action 10x more than me in this area.
Yeah. I like to quote something.
To know and not do is not know.
Yeah. To know and not to do is not to know, someone once said. Apparently Anon did a lot of quotes out there. Tash, like, who's Anon?
That's anonymous, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I know. so that's what we're talking. But no, but it is an interesting. Have a think about that for a moment. To know and not to do is not to know.
I hate
Because
that quote.
Tash
It's so
does.
true.
Because she's like, I know it. I know it. If you really knew something, you would do it.
I just said I
And-
educate.
No, yeah, I know. But like, isn't it? This is even just the start of our health thing. But isn't it really interesting to know it, read it, go, yeah, that makes sense, and then not do it? Means that you truly don't understand it, because if you truly understood it, you just do it because it's for your benefit and all that stuff.
Yeah, but Mr. Anon didn't. Whoever said that quote, I think yes, but in its entirety, you have to also understand that humans are complex creatures, and if we only did things based on logic or based on, just based on what makes sense in your brain, everyone would be running completely different lives to how they actually
Well, I
run.
think that for
Because we
another-
have emotions.
That's what I say. It goes back to the start of that quote. To know. Maybe that would define what is to know. But possibly, because when you maybe truly understand, because what makes someone take action and do something when they haven't for so long? Obviously, something triggered, some event or something happened. Maybe that's the bit of to know.
Right, it's all very too deep for me. But
Very deep, isn't it? But today's going to be interesting because we've got the male-female perspective on this as well, on health. And health. I love health. And it really is so important because without it,
well, there's no you if there's
There
And
is no
I
you.
mean, let's quote Steve Jobs. What was his quote around health? That I'm gonna paraphrase horrifically here, but he was like, it's only when you get to the end of your life when you realize that having your health is the one thing you can't buy. You can't try, it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how nice you are, it really doesn't matter what you've done in your life. If you didn't look after your health, you don't have your life.
And that's where I was going to go next and say, the health is everything, because it's kind of like when you don't have it, it's the only thing you want. You're not thinking about making more money. You're not thinking about what you
when
want to
you're
watch on
sick in
TV
bed.
later.
Yeah.
When you don't have it, it's just you're craving it. So
It's so true when you say, so when you're healthy, you feel that you'll feel that way forever, so therefore you don't need to look after it because it was given to you without any effort.
Yeah.
So normally when it comes to making money, you've had to do some kind of effort to get that to happen. You were healthy without having to do anything. So I think that's a huge thing that people go, well, why now do I have to work for it?
Yeah, I think we're looking at that missing piece of, my health is relatively good because I'm not thinking about it. I've got a general...
Normally as children, you can just
Yep.
live, you can play on your monkey bars, you got muscle enough to play on the monkey bars, you eat what your parents tell you to eat, you have your chocolate when you eat your chocolate, and it's you feel great.
Yeah, Tash used to liken this to having a Tim Tam. Now, for those of you who don't know, Tim Tams in Australia, it's just like a little chocolate biscuit, but
A little chocolate
it's
biscuit.
not that big. It's a couple of
It's an
inches
adequate
long.
size,
But you love them, and
Pretty good.
they used to if I could actually see by eating this one what it does to my body, actually get an illustration. Okay, you just
Or
ate
just
that.
if you ate it and literally your ass went 10 centimeters bigger, you'd be like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Well, imagine as you said, if we had a feedback clock there, so you know how you can check your watch.
And it took 30 seconds off.
Yeah, what if it says You just
Yeah,
eliminated.
you will die on the 23rd of September 2082. Now it's August. You're like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
and that's the thing, we don't see
There's
that.
no direct feedback.
No.
Until it's too late.
Yes, that's right. So it's almost preventative versus treating the thing once
And
it's
you
there.
and I are very smart business owners and very smart marketers, and we know and understand prevention does not sell.
No, I met talking healthways. I met when I was at university studying. I was at the gym to talk about health stuff, and I met a guy there who had been studying medicine at the university, and he's gone and said to me, Phil, he said, I've just quit because what we do as doctors, we're always treating the
cause.
sickness, the cause, whatever.
Oh, not the cause. They don't treat
No,
the
no,
cause.
we're treating it once it's come. We're treating the illness is what it is where you can define it as. He's like, I want to get involved in preventing the illness from even happening. That's where my passion. I do like with all this other stuff. No, we're almost waiting for people to be sick before then. It's basically patching up, isn't it? In a lot of ways, we'll give you a new bit of an artery here. We'll give you a new something there on your knee. Now that does happen to people, wear and tear. But
yeah, but this is human
but
nature.
prevention is so
We don't
important.
tend to put the good fuel in the car. We tend to trash the car until the mechanic tells us it's broken. You need to pay X to fix it.
Yeah.
We're not good human beings at worrying or
About something
preventing
before it
things.
happens.
Yeah.
And then I think that's where we want to.
Well, I say
That's what I was
that.
hoping to.
Aren't we experts at it? All the people that go, what if this happens? What if this happens? And they worry about this and they worry about that. And you go, it's never going to happen. But when it comes to our health,
Yeah.
we don't worry about it. That doesn't make any sense. To those of you that are sitting at home going, yeah, I have anxiety, I worry about this, and I worry about social events, and I worry about what's going to happen if I do X, Y, Z. But you don't worry about if I eat McDonald's, what will happen? And you don't worry about if I don't go for this walk, what will happen?
Yeah.
So this is why I'm obsessed with this topic, because I'm obsessed with why humans do what they do. And it's endlessly fascinating,
Yeah.
the patterns we run.
I don't know if we're looking at something like a wheel of life, or what are the main areas of one person's life? And it's like health, having a job, relationships, family, hobbies,
wealth creation.
yeah, spirituality.
Yeah.
Those things there. Health always seems to be at the top.
It has to be, because you can't
someone,
do anything
ask
else.
someone to set a goal. Just off the top of your head, I'm going to set a goal for the next year. Okay, I would like to weigh 10 pounds less, 10 kilos less. It always seemed to be health related. What I wanted to ask you, Tash, why is it as a society that we're struggling so much with health? We've got this wealth of knowledge, this kind of not to know and not to do. We've got this wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Why?
So I think absolutely.
I've got a list, but I was going to ask you.
Well, I think, as you said, the first thing is, do people not know that eating McDonald's every day and not exercising, do they really think that that's okay? And I think we're educated. Probably there was a time in human society where we didn't know that. Now we all kind of know we should eat. What is it? Eat less, move more. We know that.
Yeah, and even that I'd have some arguments against
But
anyway.
everyone's like, and yes, okay, we can dive really deep.
That's
into all
why
the
this
different
could be a
diets.
10-part series.
And yeah, I'm sure we will, and we'll enjoy it. But the first thing is that people know that they should exercise. Let's just go to the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know they should move their bodies every day. And even if you don't know that people haven't educated yourself, if you thought about it for half a second, that would make sense. We've evolved as human beings from animals that roam. It would make sense that we're hunter-gatherers, that we spent most of our lives for the last 100,000 of years that humans have been on the planet. We spent our lives hunting game and gathering fruit and berries, which required a lot of walking, a lot of bending, a lot of and then
Physical activity.
And we had to build houses, we had to pick up rocks, and we had to do these things. So we were physical people. Now if you look at how we live our lives, we're behind a computer, we're sitting on a chair, we're spending 8-10 hours a day motionless. It makes sense that we're going to have to commit to moving every day.
Yeah.
But I think the most, I can't remember what your question is, but I think you go behind that and you go, but why aren't they moving?
I said,
every day?
why are we as a society struggling with health so much? And that was one of the points I was going to talk about, was the lifestyle of where the humans have come. Like, we're working more. There's more pressures to, we did this 40-hour working week, and then people go 60, then 80,
Well,
100
and then we've got
hours.
to drive in the car, and we've got to get the kids, and we're going to drive them to soccer practice, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. But I think if you had to say one, because lifestyle is a really big one. You know, we are a product of our environments. Because if you take the person that is working 8 hours a day and then driving in the car and taking their kids to soccer and not having time for exercise, and you put them in the wilderness with no responsibilities except to survive, their health will dramatically improve. You don't have to tell them to exercise. They're going to start moving. They need to find water. They need to find food. So I wonder if that's one of the biggest ones.
I wish I had that. That was on my list. You've done well so far. You've knocked out 2. I had only 3 things on there that I had was lifestyle. Yeah, as I said, the lifestyle we're living. Engage. You know, how much would people would just engage in a social media, looking at a screen, bent over, rather than getting out there moving around.
And I've always said to you, even recently, we were at the beach, and I said to Phil, I would love to do this as a human experiment. Take 1,000 people that don't exercise, put them in a beachfront apartment, and do nothing else, and just tell me what they do after 6 months. And there's something about the call of nature. So put them in front of a beautiful glassy lake with a forest that they can walk around in, or a beach with the sand, beautiful sand and the waves. Tell me one person out of those 1,000 that isn't compelled by some kind of outward nature to call them into that environment.
Yeah.
So I think environment is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it with the kids all the time. Like growing up, you went out into the street and skateboarded and went with all the other friends, and we live on a farm, so our kids naturally, we've never had to say go outside and play.
No.
They are naturally inclined to go and use that playground.
Yeah.
And it's not an actual playground.
Nature's playground.
Nature's playground. And we don't ever say you should pick up a stick and play with it. They naturally do that. And I think if you take them out of their environment and you put them into a penthouse apartment, and you give them the opportunity to have screens and have TVs and have video games, they won't go outside anymore. But that's not, so I'm trying to answer your question because I just think it's the most coolest question ever. Because if you fix the environment as well, are you saying people, because what was the question? Why aren't people...
Why is the society struggling with health so much?
Yeah, and I go because we're relying on our motivation and on our brains to make us look after our health.
Yeah.
And I think if you create an environment where we naturally do it anyway, then, because you can never rely on motivation to do anything.
Because we've taken away the struggles of food that's there.
Yes.
We've taken away the struggles of shelter.
Well, yeah, don't even get me started.
We've taken
on food.
away many things. Well, that was actually going to be point number 3 is eating poor food. And a lot, as we've seen, working with people, unaware what is poor food. But the companies made this food, and yes, but that's put together by...
Is that going to be part 2?
I don't know, a group of
I feel like
scientists.
we talked for 3 hours on food.
But I just wanted to touch on this. This was touching on those lines.
So this is probably all going to be points then. So environment, food.
I had working Mormon. That's still like lifestyle.
Yeah. The demands of modern society.
Yeah.
What else is the real reason? Yeah, I think they're the overarching, because you can say lack of motivation, lack of discipline, lack of awareness, all those kinds of things, but they all feed into the higher levels that you've talked about. And
so how can we escape the downward trend in health? And I thought what we first need to do is understand, if we're talking health, and we could have a really basic look at some food I was thinking today, in part of health and stuff like that. If people could walk away from today's podcast and go, what did I learn?
Okay, well, first you asked a really good question. I wanted to answer it.
Oh, how can we escape the downward trend in health?
Yeah, so I think the first thing you need to do is wake up and actually give a shit. So there's an amazing book written, I can't think of his name, Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill.
The Devil.
Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil. If you want to read a really cool book, Outwitting the Devil is very cool. That
was written back, I think, in the 1930s, 40s.
Yes.
And it was only published a few years ago.
He was too scared to publish it.
because it's basically him having a discussion with the devil.
So
and
eloquently.
and the insights he wrote back then, we're talking
will blow your
50,
mind.
60,
Yeah.
70 years ago, and you read it now, the parallels are uncanny. It's quite amazing,
And
really.
I think that's the answer to that question. What do you say? How do you fix the downward spiral?
Yeah.
So one of the things he talks about in that book is that humans nowadays have this uncanny ability to ignore all the warning signs and just go with, oh, I'll fix it tomorrow, I'll do it later, and just go with the current of life. And as you said, it's a very demanding life, and there's a lot of social pressure, and there's a lot of, the way our lives are created to work and do everything. We just don't have time to look at our health, and we just don't. It's not even an awareness. It's not even, when someone has a health scare, they're like, it didn't even occur to me that I should fix anything. I didn't even know anything was broken. So how to fix a downward spiral? Firstly, wake up. Like, that's this whole book of waking up and saying, I'm not going to go with the current. I'm actually going to start making decisions on my life. Like, I'm going to drive my life. So you have to drive your health. You have to take on the responsibility. You're not a child anymore. You're an adult. And if you want to live 100 to 150, 200 years, there is going to be so many things that you are going to have to do. You're going to have to work. Like, I always think it's so funny that, we say we got to go to work for 8 hours a day, because there's another 8 hours a day that you have to work at to be a functional human being.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about the wheel of life, you talk about health, relationships, wealth building, enjoying life, lifestyle, all this stuff. That's another 8 hours. And people go, oh, I don't want to be a bodybuilder, so I don't need to devote 2 hours a day into my health. No, but you want to live.
Yeah, then
I'm
that's
not saying be a bodybuilder.
no. I was going to say that's one of the most massive motivations is you look after your health, and then when you're awake during the day, you have energy for the whole day,
Yeah.
and you can basically sprint, like don't physically sprint, but you're moving from task to task. The fact that you can be 16 hours. So say you sleep for 8, 16 hours of awake, good energy, clear thinking, no aches and pains, moving around. That's what I
As you
think
were
of
as
life.
a child. And
Exactly.
I want to make sure that people don't think that we're being preachy here, because while I'm saying you've got to wake up and you've got to take your health, take the responsibility of your own health, and you've got to actually work towards getting it, we will be going very deep in the next couple of episodes, because I understand to do that is super challenging because of everything that we just talked about, because of our environment, because of our lifestyle demands, because of our preconditioning, because of how we think in this area. We are lost before we start, or we're losing before we start. So there's so much that we have to unpack here for you guys, for you even to be able to consider to do that action. Okay, so we're saying, okay, well, you got to look after your health, and you got to eat better, and you got to exercise. That's simplistically what we're saying. I think everyone listening goes, yeah, I know that, but, and it's those 3 letters of the BUT that we have to solve for them so they can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I think about people in their health journey, I think food is where we need to start. Because food it's such a big thing, isn't it?
It's huge. Can I give you one mini example? Because I know we'll talk about this later. But growing up, and it's probably definitely hasn't changed. What did people used to say? What's a healthy breakfast?
Well, in Australia, it's Wheat Bix.
I was going to say, have a bowl of cereal, have
cereal.
a glass of juice, have some toast.
Have some milk.
I did audio things,
For those
but
of you that are listening, Phil was so flabbergasted at this horrific advice that he lost his ability to speak.
lost it completely. But that's just a really small example, and that's going to be part of the, I think, as a re-education
And yeah, if
process.
those of you are going, what do you mean? What's wrong with cereal? What's wrong with, what else did we say? Milk? Did you say juice?
A juice,
Yeah.
a glass of juice. Oh, but it's freshly squeezed orange juice,
Oh,
Tash.
God, don't get
or
Phil started
it's a
on the
piece
juice.
of it's a toast. It's wholemeal, Tash. Come on, wholemeal's better. Whole grain bread, Tash. Oh, it's got to be good for me.
And just so you know, we don't preach any
No.
diet. We're not on keto or what are all the other ones? The
Gluten-free.
carnivore, the vegan, the vegetarian.
Paleo.
I love getting like carnivores and vegans together. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no specific diet trend that we believe in. But yeah, we want to share with you next
Just to share
episode.
our thoughts and our views and what we've learnt and what's working for us, what's not working for us.
Yeah.
And what could be a sustainable thing you can kind of keep through life, but it gives you maximum energy.
Yeah, and you guys know we've got kids as well, so we think it's really important that our kids understand how food works and what food makes them feel good, what food makes them feel tired or sluggish.
What
and-
food makes them want to crave more food, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to take the next part of the health discussion is food, because that's
Yeah, so tune in
a
next
giant
week
episode.
and we'll teach you a little bit more about how food's made up and just some general principles that you can take that might be a little bit, I'm sure they're all still like, what's wrong with the toast and the
We'll get on to that,
cereal?
but I hope you've taken away a few things from today's episode. You know that health, it's so important. Like just even
Take
to be,
this as a slap
even
in
to
your
be,
face.
even to be thinking about it and going, yeah, I haven't been really thinking about it. Or it's one of those things I'll get to. Yeah, but we all get to it. A lot of people get to it when it's too late.
And some people think, like, oh, health has nothing to do with it. Do I have to lose weight? It's all about how you look and the losing weight. And it's so much more than that. Like, I know lots of people that are a healthy weight range, but not healthy. They're
Yeah.
eating foods that are going to cut their lifespan short, that are going to be causing inflammation in their body and not causing them to have abundant energy and working at
clarity
their
of thought.
optimum.
You know, they've heard of brain fog. You know, just clarity of thinking.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that discussion. It's going to be massive. Well,
Thanks for joining us.
yeah. So hopefully this is illuminating and you're excited about the next part. So we'll catch you next episode.